All right, welcome folks. I wanted to give a little supplemental information for the Sunrise and Sunset lab that you'll be working on this week. It's laid out a little bit differently than the other labs have been. You still have the introduction and the write-up in your data sheet, but the information that you need to do the analysis is here in this PDF document called Sunrise and Sunset Lab Data. I don't believe you've had one like that before, so you'll need to open that up, and that's where the information is that you'll see given the hours of daylight and azimuths for Nashville mainly, and then for the northern part of North America, and then right on the equator due south of Nashville here. I wanted to show you a couple of things. One, a little bit about doing the graphing, and then how to get these hours of daylight in terms of hours and minutes into decimal hours, which it explains in the write-up, but wanted to show you an example or two of that. The 10 hours and 5 minutes is good. We understand that, but that's hard to put onto a graph because it doesn't really fit, like 10.2 or 10.7. So one of the first things you'll do is you want to take those hours of daylight and convert each one of them into decimal hours. And so we'll walk through that process, do it this first 10 hours and 5 minutes. So you take your minutes, in this case, the 5, and you want to convert that into decimals. So what you do is you take the 5 for the 10 hours and 5 minutes, and you divide it by 60. And if you do that, that is equal to 0.0833, and 3 repeats, all like that. So you can chop that off wherever you want. And so 5 minutes is 0.0833 hours. And so 10 hours and 5 minutes in hours and minutes is equal to 10.0833 hours. And so that's where we're getting that 0.0833. So you do the same thing with 1103. You'll take that 3 and divide it by 60. That'll give you 0.05, and then add that to 11 point. So you have 11.05, and on with all the others that you have down here. Okay. Once you get that, there's places on your data sheet back in eLearn to write down these decimal values. Then you're going to make a graph of these decimal values over the dates, and then also the azimuths over the date. First, I'll look at the azimuths over here. I'll plot a couple of these here. So when you draw your graph, one of the things you want to do is you want to have a graph on graph paper. You can, of course, do this on Excel or Google Sheets or something like that if you want, but you can also do it by hand. Here's my attempt at a hand drawing on a piece of graph paper. You want yours to be a full sheet, so the bigger the graph is, the better. Don't make a little tiny graph. It'll be frustrating as you try to read it, but take a full sheet of graph paper. You can download pieces of graph paper or printouts of graph paper from the web, or you can go to an office supply store or something to get a packet of graph paper here. So what you want to have is you want to have, for the azimuth versus date, the first thing, azimuth is going to be on the vertical axis, and the second thing, the date, is going to be on the horizontal. Now I'm abbreviating here just in the space that I've got. This is January, February, March, April, May. And so you'll start with January on through the next January for each of the dates you have. And then on these azimuths, you want to plot the given azimuth with the corresponding date. I've left off the 20th here just for brevity on this graphing app that I've got here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find 114 and put a mark on 114 above my January date. And so that would be, and the part I've got here's 100, here's 100, here's 110, here's 120, the way I've got it marked off. So 114 would be somewhere right around in there. So and then go back to the previous table that we've got. Then we've got 103 for February. So on top of 103, or on top of February, I'm going to put one right about here, just a little bit above the 100 mark. I'm going to keep doing that until I get all the different plots, data points plotted. So let me just kind of pretend that it keeps on doing something like this. And just making up dots here. Yours will not look like this. I just want to show you kind of the general idea of what you'll do with this once you get it done. So once you plot all those dates, then what you want to do is you want to come back and put in a best fit curve into this. Now mine will be tough because the touch screen doesn't work exactly right with this. But you're not connecting the dots, but you're trying to put in a curve, a smooth curve to the numbers that you've got. And then it's this smooth curve that you'll use to answer the questions that you got in the lab write-up. Okay. So again, you'll take all this azimuth data here, and plot those over the particular dates that you've got and generate a graph that will look different than this, but the base following the same basic idea. Then you're going to do a second graph on a second piece of graph paper. Again, make it big to fill the page and be a lot easier to read numbers off and stuff like that, of the hours of daylight. And this is why we wanted to convert these times of daylight into decimal hours. So like here, the 10 hours and 5 minutes, that's 10.08, just slightly more than 10 hours. So on top of my January number, we're going to put the 10.08. So that would be somewhere just slightly above the 10. And then we'll go on from there. So February, we said, didn't we say it was like 11.05 hours? So I can go ahead and put that 11 here. Slightly more than 11 right here. And then a similar sort of thing. Let's say that once you get it, it will not look like this, but whatever you end up with it looking like when you plot all the individual points. Let's say it does something like this. Then you will go through and draw in a best fit curve through all of your points. Something similar to this. And from that, answer the questions that you got in the lab based on that curve you draw through your data points. All right. Okay, hope that helps. If not, let me know and ask me whatever questions you got, and good luck doing the lab.